This YouTuber challenged a billion-dollar car company, called out their claims, questioned their prices, exposed the gaps in their story, and this happened 2 weeks ago. What did the company do? No response, no denial, no explanation, just silence, complete and total silence. And here's what you need to understand. When a company that powerful, that protective of its image, that is quick to defend their reputation, goes completely quiet for 2 weeks after being called out publicly, it's usually because someone just exposed the truth they don't want to talk about. Because if they tried to respond, that would only make it worse. So let's break down what this silence really means. Before we continue, if you love drama in the car world and want to see companies get exposed for what they really are, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Now let's dive in. Alright, so here's the full story. Matt Armstrong is rebuilding a wrecked Bugatti Sheeron. And just to be clear, it's not his car, it's Alex G's car. He's doing this as a project. The car was totaled, completely written off, and he's documenting the entire process of bringing it back to life. Millions of people are watching. The views are insane. Now, a few weeks back, Mete Rimac, the CEO of Bugatti himself, drops a video. Not a 2-minute statement. A full 30-minute video defending Bugatti. His message was, "Our cars aren't like anything else. Every single part is Bugatti engineered. That's why they cost what they cost. That's why you can't just walk into any shop and get parts. This isn't a Toyota. This is a Bugatti." Fair enough, right? He's standing up for his brand, protecting the image, explaining why things are the way they are. But then Matt Armstrong watches that video, and he doesn't just nod and move on. He responds. He makes his own video. He questions the claims. He points out the problems. He calls Bugatti out directly. That was 2 weeks ago. And since then, no response. Total silence from Bugatti. So what exactly did Matt say in his response? Because this is important. He didn't just complain. He made specific points that Bugatti can't ignore. He challenged the whole, everything is Bugatti engineered story. He's literally taking the car apart, piece by piece, and he's finding parts from other suppliers, parts that show up on other cars. Now, he's not saying the Sheeron is fake or cheap. He's just saying that the idea that every single component is custom made specifically for Bugatti, that's not adding up. He asked the question everyone's thinking. If your parts are so special, if your engineering is so amazing, why won't you sell them to us? But Bugatti just says no. They won't even quote him a price. They just shut the door. Matt called out what this is really about. It's not about safety. It's not about protecting customers. It's about control. Bugatti wants complete control over who touches their cars, where they get fixed, and how much it costs. If you're not doing it their way, at their approved shops, paying their prices, you're locked out. 2 weeks ago, Matt posted this. And since then, Bugatti has said absolutely nothing. So let's get into what this 2-week silence could actually mean. I see 3 real possibilities here. First, Bugatti simply doesn't care. And honestly, from a business angle, this makes perfect sense. Matt Armstrong isn't rebuilding his own Bugatti. He's not Bugatti's target customer. The people who actually buy brand new Bugattis, billionaires, collectors, ultra-wealthy people who live in a completely different world. These people aren't on YouTube watching rebuild videos to decide if they should buy a Sheeron. They're not worried about parts availability. They have people who handle that stuff for them. Bugatti only sells about 60 to 80 cars per year. That's it. They're not trying to appeal to regular people. They don't need good PR with everyday car fans. They need their ultra-wealthy buyers to stay happy. And those buyers, they probably love the exclusivity. They probably enjoy the fact that you can't just rebuild a Bugatti in your garage. So from Bugatti's point of view, why respond? Matt's project doesn't hurt their sales one bit. Responding would only give this whole thing more attention, more views, more people asking questions. Better to just stay quiet and let it fade away. Secondly, Bugatti is playing the waiting game. And this might be the coldest, most strategic move possible. Think about it like this. If Bugatti jumps in and starts arguing with Matt, if they release another statement, another video, they look defensive. They look scared. Like a billion-dollar company is worried about what one YouTuber is saying. That's not a good look. But if they just sit back and watch, one of two things is going to happen. Either Matt succeeds with the rebuild, the car works, it drives, everything functions. And if that happens, Bugatti can just say, "See? We never said it was impossible. We just said it was complicated and risky. But hey, he pulled it off. Good for him. No harm to their reputation." Or, and this is what they're probably betting on, the car doesn't run properly. The computer systems don't sync up. Maybe something fails. Maybe it's unsafe. Maybe something goes wrong. And then Bugatti gets to step in and say, "This is exactly why we have these policies. This is exactly why we control repairs. Not because we're money hungry or controlling, but because these cars are dangerous when rebuilt by people who don't know what they're doing. We were trying to protect everyone all along." It's actually genius when you think about it. They don't have to argue. They don't have to defend themselves. They just have to wait and let the situation play out. If Matt fails, they win. If he succeeds, they can spin it however they want. Thirdly, nobody wants to admit this, but Bugatti doesn't have a good answer. And they know it. Mate Rimac already gave his best shot in that 30-minute video. He laid out Bugatti's position. He explained their thinking. He defended their practices. That was their A-game. That was their best argument. But then Matt responded and poked holes in everything. So now what's Bugatti supposed to say? Okay, yes, some parts do come from other suppliers, but trust us, they're modified specially for us. That sounds weak and makes people question what else isn't true. Yes, we could sell Matt the parts, but we're choosing not to because of safety. That sounds exactly like the controlling behavior everyone's already criticizing them for. Our prices are justified because of the engineering? Matt's already shown that some of those prices are way higher than the actual parts are worth. Here's the thing, sometimes silence isn't a calculated strategy. Sometimes it's just not having anything good to say. And for a brand like Bugatti that's built entirely on perfection, on being the absolute best, on excellence, admitting they don't have a solid response might do more damage than just staying quiet and hoping people forget about it. But here's what makes this bigger than just one rebuild project or one YouTube channel. This is really about right to repair. This is about what it actually means to own something. Matt isn't even rebuilding his own car. But think about this. If someone drops $2 or $3 million on a Bugatti, what do they actually own? If they can't buy parts, if they can't choose their own mechanic, if they need Bugatti's permission for every single thing, do they really own that car? Or are they just renting it forever from Bugatti? This same fight is happening with tractors, with iPhones, with laptops. Companies want to keep control even after you've paid for their product. But with a Bugatti, it hits different. Because the whole appeal of a Bugatti is freedom, ultimate performance, the ultimate expression of wealth and power and independence. Except, you're not independent. You're completely tied to Bugatti for as long as you have that car. So, what does Bugatti's 2-week silence really mean? Maybe it's all three possibilities at once. Maybe they don't care. They're waiting to see what happens, and they don't have a good answer. Or maybe they're just so confident that none of this matters to the people who actually write the checks for new Bugattis. But here's the reality. Silence only gets louder the longer it lasts. 2 weeks is a long time in the internet world. Every day without a response is another day people are talking, asking questions, and losing trust. What do you think? Should Bugatti break their silence? Or is staying quiet the smartest move they could make? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.